Hey, podcaster, how are you today? Today, we're going to talk about where you should actually be showing up and how you can figure out what actually you need to be doing to grow your show, because most of us are spending too much time on the front end, the recording, the editing, all the fancy stuff, and we're not actually marketing our show because we're relying solely on SEO, which will bring in some clients and listeners. But if we really want to grow, we've got to start bringing people in from other ways. And there's tons of ways to do this. Now, if you're really struggling with this, you can still join the 30-day growth challenge. It is still going on. You get a full 30 days access, regardless of when you start, into the group, which means you get 4 to 5 hot seat coaching calls, group coaching calls. You can ask questions. So it's not just a here's your daily action, we leave you hanging. You can actually get some actual support in these group calls and in the community. So if you want to join, the link is in the show description, and it's the 30-day podcast growth challenge. And we're going to talk about some of this today because I think that where so many of us go wrong is we spray and we pray and we repurpose like a baddie, but none of that repurposed content, if you're not doing it right, isn't going to land anyways. So let's stop wasting our time and start making that 80% of marketing actually work in our favor. Sound good? Let's go. Welcome to Beyond the Downloads. I'm Jen, your podcast bestie, here to tell you there's so much more about podcasting than just those numbers. So before you throw in the towel, you better listen up. We're diving deep into the heart of what makes podcasting truly special, from storytelling to connection, and yes, even healing. Think of me as your podcast life raft, ready to help you navigate those choppy waters of this podcasting world and the podcast overwhelm. From understanding the therapeutic power of sharing your voice to the practical tips to grow your show without losing your ever-loving mind. If you're ready to ditch the hustle and create content that leaves a legacy, a tsunami impact, no more ripples. Whether you're launching your first show or looking to take your podcast to the next level, I'm here to help you grow, launch, and yes, make some money from your passion. Let's make your podcasting dreams your reality. It's time to go beyond the downloads, where your story becomes a legacy. I really want you to listen to me. And this is going to be hard because we've seen so many people doing so many different things, but things aren't working the way that they used to. We don't need to be on every platform, although we see that in a lot of places. If you're not to a place where you can delegate in your business, we talked about this last night inside the hot seat coaching in our 30-day challenge. You can still join. And we talked about delegation. Sometimes we're not ready to delegate because we don't have the funds. We aren't brave enough to outsource yet, or maybe we don't even know what to outsource yet. So we can't do that. So we've got to look at what we're currently doing. And that's what I want you to do first. I want you to look at where you're currently marketing your podcast. Are you just doing SEO research? Are you doing SEO research? Are you posting on one platform? Are you posting on a million platforms? Are you using softwares like Riverside? That's where I'm recording right now, is in Riverside. Are you using Riverside and then just using its pre-cut clips and posting those places? I'm going to tell you right now, those are not working well. They don't convert well. They're okay as a YouTube short, but other platforms, it's just not performing. You've got to do some editing after that. You've got to at least put an outro and an intro on the stacked on either side of those clips so that it draws people in to want to listen to that micro clip. And then you tell them what to do afterwards. Because just a random clip, it's like not everyone's going to read the caption to know that it's from a podcast and to go listen if you don't tell them to do that. So I want you to really look at what you're doing. Do you have a blog? Have you done the research? Are you on every platform? Because you're probably burning yourself out and you're like, this is not getting a reward. I only have 30 downloads. I only have 40 downloads. I only have 10 downloads. It's frustrating, especially if you're putting in a lot of work in. So what I want to talk to you today about is how to back that down and focus on one or two and get really stinking good at that and watch the things come in. Because here's the thing. This is exactly what happened to me. I tried to be on every platform: Pinterest, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Heck, for a while I was on Clubhouse and in Marco Polo in groups and Telegram groups and email marketing and blogging. And it was just too much. I took a moment to step back, and this is the question I want you to ask yourself right now is, where have you gotten all your clients? All of my clients have been come from one, networking in person, two, having people on my podcast, getting to know them, and then those people have been referring me in, three, from Facebook, and that's it. It's all about actually making connections because that's what the sale is about, right? That's what creating customer is about. That's what that know, like, and trust is about, is actually making connections. I can honestly completely stop my social media right now, which I pretty much have. Other than if you do see me on TikTok right now, it's because I'm doing my 30-day challenge to myself to just post things that make me happy. Nothing about my business, just things that make me happy to prove that I can do it if I really wanted to do 30 days. But that's neither here nor there. It's also because I think that there needs to be some happy on the internet right now because a lot of shit is hitting the fan. But I can actually take those off. And for me, I'm focusing on getting on other people's shows and having people on my shows because I actually get to talk to people one-on-one for an hour. And it's like I get to know them. I have gotten a ton of referrals from people that I've gotten to know from my show. It immediately creates that know, like, and trust. You bring someone in your show, know, like, and trust. So everybody who's come on my show, whenever there's a podcast question, guess who they think of? Me, because I've showcased them. And vice versa. We can also share audiences and have some of our audiences go over. But here's the thing is a lot of people think that these huge guests are like the way to go, but it's not always that way because the huge guests have been on so many different shows talking about the same thing. Their audience isn't really wanting to come see you anyways. So you kind of want to go on shows that have about the same size audience as you, or maybe even a little bit smaller because they're going to want to share. And the few people in their audience are going to have a lot more trust for them. So therefore, they're likely to come over to listen to their story that hasn't been shared anywhere else on your podcast. So there's guesting. I think that everyone should be having some form of guesting, whether you're doing podcast guesting, podcast swaps, intro swaps, hook swaps, you're doing summit swaps, you're showing up. I think that guesting is huge. I think that getting in person and networking is huge, 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 because so many people aren't doing it right now. They're not showing up in that way. And I think that we have gotten to a place where we think if we post it, someone should just paying us. Why isn't it growing? I've posted, but you haven't actually connected with anyone. So I want you to start connecting with people. I don't care what part, like which other actions you take. One of them is I want you to start connecting with people. Two, you could look at doing summits or guesting or showing up at networking events. But I really want you to start looking at the podcast guesting strategy. And I think everyone should do that. Period. End of story. When you're going to start marketing on other platforms, I want you to think about, is there any platform that has actually brought you in money? Facebook has brought me in money. None of the other platforms have converted. I've had conversations over in the DMs, but they aren't ones that I've converted. They're continual conversations with clients or with people that I've already connected with somewhere else. So I don't really need that DM there. So I really want you to focus. So for me, my focus right now is podcasting, YouTube, Facebook, because I have a loyal audience there. I love my Facebook people. I love my Facebook friends. There's just a connection there. I love Facebook groups. And I'm going to start speaking on more stages. I'll be speaking at PodFest. So if you are going to PodFest in January in Florida, please reach out because I want to meet you in person. I want to give you, you're a hugger. I will give you a hug. I love me some hugs. Didn't think I did until I magically like hugs now. So if you want to meet in person, and you're at PodFest, let me know. Or if you're in Northern California in Sonoma County, that's where I live, I'm happy to take you out. I'll even be your DD if you drink wine because I don't like to drink and I don't like wine. So I'll be your DD. I was in the industry for 10 years, so I know where to go. But that's the whole thing is that you got to look for the connections. Business is about connecting. I could be selling something, somebody else could be selling something, and it's all about that connection. So where are you actually making those connections? And then I want you to start thinking about that one platform that you're on and how can you make it work? So many of us are in softwares like Riverside or Descript, and we're just pulling out clips, and clips don't work. You can get a little bit of traction over on YouTube Shorts, but you really need to put some effort into it. Whether that's pulling a clip and then making it an intro hook. So you're podcaster, here's the way to grow your show. Put in your clip from the actual podcast episode. And then if you want to know the full, if you want me to spill the full tea, go check out Beyond the Downloads on your favorite podcast player. So there's an outro. So it actually makes sense. It's a full, complete start, middle, and end of a video. It's not just some random clip. Nobody's going to listen to that unless you have a huge, nice mic drop moment. But even then, if you're not inviting them into your show, it's just like a mic drop moment that just sits there and does nothing. We don't want that. Stories connect. You can use a story strategy. If you're somebody who your people are hanging out on LinkedIn articles are great. You know, they can perform really well and get people into your show, and you can provide a lot of value through them. But I don't want you on all the platforms. Sometimes, one of the things I've been recommending to my clients is they record their podcasts, and I always have people do a hook. So like what I do before my episode starts, before you actually hear the intro with the music, you hear me say, this is what the podcast is about. You should be doing that because your loyal listeners don't want to just keep listening to your intro right away. They got to hear why they need to listen through all of that because they might not be able to skip the intro. So I always recommend doing a hook, capture your audience before you put your standard intro in with your music and all of that stuff before you start your episode. Same with your short form content. But when my clients are doing that hook now, I am having them set their camera up at the same time they're recording on wherever they're recording, whether that's Riverside, Zoom. I'm not a big fan of recording on Zoom. There's a lot of reasons for that. But I have them set up their camera. So they'll have their camera in front of them, and then they'll have the camera that's running for Zoom, and then they'll say that short hook. And then that short hook, once they're done saying that, I say, and listen on Beyond the Downloads podcast or whatever their podcast name is. And then I just edit that piece out, but then they have that hook already on their camera and they've already invited them into the show. So it's like a double whammy win-win situation because you're like inviting them in. You're also recording your hook, so you're capturing their attention. Those tend to perform a lot better. Don't get me started on audiograms. It's a thing of the past. You can still put them in there, but you better make them entertaining. It can't just be a static image anymore. It doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. You can do B-roll. There's a whole bunch of other things you can do, but just don't do the static image anymore. It's not working. But what I really want to pound in is that we don't have to be on every platform to grow. You have to figure out what works for you. And with podcasting, because it's such a subconscious thing and it's such a way to go deep with people, whether it's your listener that turns into your clients or your friends or you're entertaining or you're inspiring, we're going deeper because you're probably walking your dog or you're driving your car. And I could change my voice and be like, listen to me, breathe in, breathe out. I'm deep in your subconscious mind right now, and we need to start focusing on you paying attention to where you're marketing your podcast so that your message can get out because your story is someone's life raft. And as I'm saying that and I'm changing my tone, I'm sure that you're feeling that in your body. Just like if I start talking like this and I'm like, let's go, come on, let's do this, bum, 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 bum. You got this, you're on fire, da, 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 da. Your body just kind of probably picked up a little bit. We have this power, which you can use to inspire, to calm, to nurture your audience and get to know them. Just like when you're hanging out with your bestie. Sometimes you guys are on fire and doing dumb things, and other times you're like, I really just need you to have a calming voice and just be here with me right now. And this is hard because we think we need to be doing all the things. We think this is a badge of honor to be busy and burnt out. And let me tell you, it's miserable. I'm there. I got to the point a couple months ago where I'm like, I can't do this anymore. And I had to restructure. Yes, I had other things going on in my life. My divorce got finalized, like I have, I'm all by myself now. I'm, like there's no dual income anymore. Like there was a lot that happened, and And it continues. Things continue to happen, which means we really need to, if we can't delegate, we really need to figure out like what is working and what is not working. So is your ideal audience hanging out on TikTok? TikTok is the one that I see convert for most of my clients if they want people to come from a social media platform to a podcast. The fastest conversions I see is from TikTok right now. I don't see any side-by-side statistics from when they're growing on Instagram with the growth of their podcast, or if they're growing on Facebook, the growth of their podcast. But when they grow on TikTok, it does seem to grow their podcast. It's just their audiences seem to do that. And it's all of them across the board, that there's a direct correlation between the two. So I know that TikTok users are more apt right now with the type of clients that I have to go over there. That doesn't mean that you need to be on TikTok. Your people might not be there. Your people might be on Insight Timer, and you might be doing meditations on Insight Timers and teaching on, they promote and they let you teach on there and they pay you for all of that. And then Insight Timer kind of promotes you, and then people go and find your name online, and then that's how they find your podcast. There's a lot of different ways. And this is why I love the 30-day challenge that I created, is because I'm teaching you a lot of different ways. Like it doesn't have to be the same. No two businesses have to be the same to get the same results. So I really want you to start think of like what actually worked to convert your clients to customers. Where do you actually like to show up? What kind of content lights you up to create? Can you delegate some of the content that you don't like to create? If that content that you are able to delegate isn't something you like to create, is it even going on a platform that you enjoy? Because we don't need to be on every platform to have the business that we want. You really need to self-evaluate of what do I really want, what's working, what's not working, and figure it out. Like for me, the Insta site was great. It's still there. If I feel like doing a reel, I'll do a reel. I do stories. I like the stories still, but I didn't want to post on there anymore. I just was done. It's not converting. It's not fun, and it wasn't converting. So I stopped. I figured out a way to have it there because people do go and look for, when you go places and I interact with people always want to meet and hang out with me on Instagram. So it's still there, but it's more of a secondary. I've already talked to you, and now you come hang out over there and we might talk or whatever. TikTok, I don't know. The verdict's still out for me. I see it being useful for people. I don't see my people my people obviously are on TikTok because there's billions of users on TikTok, but I don't see that being a platform where I'm really going to draw people into my business side. It's my friend side maybe, but my business side, not so much. Although I am kind of thinking I want to do like clothing for petite, mid-sized people, but that has nothing to do with my business. So why would I want to promote my podcast over there? I think that YouTube would be great for my people because a lot of you that want to grow your podcast and grow your business are going to go look for how-tos, and especially how to use different softwares on YouTube. I think that's a great platform for people that have those kind of things. I also think it's great for a lot of other things, but it's really about finding that one thing or those few platforms that actually work for you. You don't have to be on all the platforms, and you shouldn't be just posting those clips on all the different platforms. That doesn't work. It's just a waste of time. And it seems like, oh, it's so fast, but it's really not. By the time you find the clips and you clean them up and you make them look, it's almost better to just have recreated it because it'll actually take you less time. Unless you're taking those AI clips, and those most likely, unless they're working magically for you. If they are, please reach out and let me know, because I'd love to see your analytics and I'd love to see like the clips and stuff you're posting. Prove me wrong. I'm great. Yeah, I'm here to learn. I'm here to grow, but I have not seen it work. My clients have not seen it work. My podcast community has not been seeing it work. I'd love to see it work. And if it is working for you, I want to know. I want to know how you're getting it to work. I'll pay you. Like, teach me, because none of us can figure it out in the podcast world, how clips just work or don't work. And everything I've seen, it doesn't work. So stop wasting your time like trying to repurpose what you have and repurpose it in a way of like, here's my long form content. How can I make a bunch of short form content? That's where you're going to actually get the conversions, is that new content. And I know that this is good. This is hard, and there are times when you can create those clips and repurpose that will work. But it does take a little bit of effort. It does take a little bit of finesse to make those content that people are going to watch longer. Getting someone to stop and listen to you say the first 2 words isn't enough. Yeah, it counts as a view, but that's not enough. We want people to watch the whole thing, or to convert over to a podcast listener, or to convert over to somewhere where you can actually have a conversation with them and not just consume. I am stuck in consume mode. I am looking for a social media scroll anonymous, because it's getting bad. I can spend 11 hours a day scrolling and not sleeping and still working because I'm not sleeping because I'm scrolling. I need help. If you know of a help in a support group to help get off the scroll, let me know. Send them my way. And I wish I was joking, but I'm not. Like, if you really know somebody, I need help. Like, that's my plea for help. But it is helping for me to not feel like I have to be on every platform all the time to be growing my show. What's really working for me is the networking, getting out, talking to people, finding local things. I mean, because even when I go out and do things like my photography club, I want to join Bocce Ball next month. I've been going to birthday parties and small events in the community, and I just meet people and talk to them, and they want to know what I do. And then they end up in my show, and they end up in my network. And then they know somebody who wants to start a podcast, or wants to grow a podcast, or wants to go paint with their eyes closed in the woods, because I also do that. And that's my other side business. But I really want you to think, where are your people? How are you wanting to connect with them? And is repurposing on all the platforms really working for you? Or is it time to focus on 1 or 2 and really create some good content for there? Or if you have the budget, can we delegate? Because we can't keep doing what we're doing. And of course we're going to burn out. Of course, there's only 14% of podcasts that last now. That's crazy to me. More than 85% of podcasts fail and don't make it past their first year. More than 50% don't make it past the first 7 episodes. Like, it's crazy to me. To look at all the index podcasts and to see that there's only 340 something thousand that are active, which means have posted in the last 90 days. That's a crazy pants to me. We don't want that for you. So I want you to look at where you're currently marketing your podcast, what's working, what's worked in the past, and where you want to do this. And again, there's 2 ways that you can get my help right now. You can come and join the 30-day podcast growth challenge. You get the 30 days. Every day you'll get a delivery with an action plan to your email. Plus you get 30 days inside of my community, which has weekly hot seat coaching for group. And you can talk about all business, because we talk about the business, because it's not just podcasting, right? It's the full business. Like, is your podcast bringing in your business? Is your podcast creating the impact that you want for the movement that you want to create? Like, we got to look at the full picture. We can't just look at the podcast as a standalone. We got to look at the big picture. And that's what we do inside the community. It's a big picture. It's podcast, business, strategy, offers, all of it all in one. That's my zone of genius. Or if you want a one-on-one time with me, you can grab the podcast CPR audit. It's podcastcpr.com. That is 45 minutes with me. I look at you, your business, your lifestyle, your offers, and we create a 30-day plan in 45 minutes. It can be done. We can make some tweaks. So you have those 2 ways to work with me if you want to try to figure out where you should be focused. Yeah. Because we don't want you being a struggling podcaster, and we don't want you to join the 85% club that fails, because you shouldn't have to. You have a message, you have a story, you have a gift that's so great that you should be on part of the club that survives and makes that impact. But we got to do it right so that you can make an impact and you're not just putting it out for no reason and just feeling frustrated. We need to change that. So I'm going to get down off my soapbox. But I really want you to start thinking about what works, what doesn't work, And do you really need to be on all? Can you slim down or can you delegate? Because one of the two has to happen or you're going to burn out and you're going to join that 85% club, and that's not for you, because you're going to be you're a tsunami generator. You're not a ripple maker, because ripples are too small for your magic. You want to generate that tsunami. So that being said, next week we get another amazing, I'm really excited for next week. I actually brought in one of my mentors and spiritual guides, and she's amazing. Erin is amazing. And she has created a meditation activation to help us clear some of this clutter of visibility so that we can bring in more and show up well. So next week we get this amazing offering from Erin. So I'm really excited for that. So stick around because we got some cool things coming. And I want you to go out and make today amazing, because you are beautiful, you are wonderful, you are worthy, and your story deserves a microphone. So go do the thing.